أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وصلى الله على سيدنا ومولانا رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن والاه واهتدى بهداه. All the praises for Allah, and may the best of peace and blessings be on the soul of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. May Allah gather us with our Prophet, may Allah give us the beneficial ilm and the amal salih, the good action inshallah. Allahumma ameen. We continue in the introduction of Imam al-Ghazali rahmatullahi alayhi. Usually the scholars will give introduction for their book to introduce the methodology, the scholarly way they would follow, giving general advices. If you read, for example, in Al-Majmu' Imam al-Nawawi, this is one of the encyclopedia of Fiqh al-Shafi'i. There's almost like one volume in the beginning for the introduction and what are the adab al-alim, adab al-muta'allim, ikhlas, and everything before they start talking about the information and the instructions. Such did the Imam al-Ghazali in his book Ihya Ulum al-Din, and this is a brief presentation of it. He talked about knowledge, and we already talked about al-ilm, fadl al-ilm, the virtues of knowledge. This is what is going to be done. And now he's going to talk about fadl or adab al-alim wal-muta'allim, the mannerisms of al-alim, the scholar or the teacher, and the muta'allim, the student or the person seeking knowledge. This is the who. Because the process of ilm would involve the ilm itself, and would involve those who are part of this process, being this person a teacher, somebody who passes the knowledge. Ever since Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sent as a teacher, with what? With iqra, with knowledge. The first word, iqra, bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. The first word, fa'lam annahu la ilaha illallah. You got to know, you got to have the knowledge that there is no God except Allah. So knowledge is there, and then both parties of this knowledge is there. It's very similar to ulum al-dunya. When you go to a school, you have to have certain tools. There is the subject, there is the teacher, there is the school, there is the student, and so on. So here tonight, inshallah, this is going to be a conclusion of the introduction before we start talking about the tahara or the purification and what's related to it. Adab al-alim wal-muta'allim. First, he will give us a few points about al-muta'allim, the student. And again, we are all in this process. Whether it's Prophet ﷺ with the Sahaba, whether it's the scholars who learn from the Prophet ﷺ, from the Sahaba and from the next generation, and then passing on the knowledge, or whether it's you and I, all of us are either or teacher or student. You to your kids at home, you are a teacher. You to anybody that you're responsible for. And mu'allim, you have to know the adab, ta'lim, looking at the Prophet ﷺ and learning how I pass knowledge, especially knowledge about the deen and knowledge about the akhirah. Because the way you are teaching could be pushing people away from this ilm. And this is Islam now, this is ilm al-akhirah. In the same way also muta'allim, the one seeking knowledge, how should it be like? Anyways, let's jump into it quickly. قال, the first point, I just summarized them for the student, talking about the students. طهارة النفس. We're not talking about information only here. Ilm, what is the place for this ilm? Receiving the knowledge. Imagine Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam there, and you are Umar ibn al-Khattab or Abu Bakr sitting and listening from the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Is it a matter of information? Yeah, let me get notes from Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and I need to memorize, and it's not only this. It's al-qalb. This qalb needs to absorb the light from Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, needs to know the haqiqah. So it can change, it can transform, right? So number one thing, it's not a matter of storing information in the first place. It's a matter of يقولون التحلية قبل التحلية. Before you add anything, make sure أن المحل طاهر. Before you can pray, you have to purify yourself physically and hopefully also purify yourself internally so you can get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Before you do knowledge, you make sure that mahallul ilmi, or the place of knowledge, is the heart. Why are you doing this knowledge? You're doing it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This ilm is ibadah. As you are seeking knowledge, it's no less than salah. The scholars would say that seeking knowledge is better than salatul sunnah, nafl. Praying extra, salatul nafl, seeking knowledge is better than it, according to many scholars. So this is ilm, or this is ibadah. So you have the practice, to practice your ibadah of ilm, you have to have a pure tool for it, which is the heart. That's number one. Number two, they will give the advice is قال وينبغي له قطع العلائق الشاغلة. You're going to seek knowledge, right? You're going to school. If you have the phone with you, if you have anything to distract and divert your attention, the process is going to be interrupted. So before you go seek knowledge, and all of us should be at any point, at all points seeking knowledge. Focus on what's being discussed and what's being said. Have your attention there. Don't be قالوا فإن الفكرة متى توزعت قصرت عن إدراك الحقائق. If your idea, if your thought, if your heart, if your mind is not there, you're not going to get the benefit of what's going on. وعلى المتعلم number 2.2 or 2.3 أن يلقي زمامه إلى المعلم إلقاء المريض زمامه إلى الطبيب. Now, in the process of learning, deal with your teacher just as you deal with a physician. You have to humble yourself, and you have to just be there, receiving whatever the receiving in a way that's like you're sick and you're going to the physician, and I cannot wait for him to tell me the prescription. So listen with the intention of getting whatever he will say, so you can get it to solve the problems you have, to have the shifa inshallah azza wa jal. قال فيتواضع له. You should humble yourself to the teacher and so on. قال ومتى تكبر المتعلم أن يستفيد من غير موصوف بالتقدم فهو جاهل. If any student, if anybody is going to feel arrogant in their heart, even to learn from somebody that they think is lower than them in knowledge, they are jahil. They are not going to get to the ilm. Why? Because in the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, or in some hadith, al-hikmatu dalatul mu'min, wisdom is the lost and found of a believer. So if you are after knowledge, whether it comes to you from the biggest scholar, or it comes to you from a little child, or it comes to you from somebody that you don't like, you will get it. So you should use the mentality of a student when it comes to learning, when it comes to seeing some hikmah or something good, even if it's not from somebody that is the biggest, you think of as better than you. Lower and humble yourself for knowledge, for hikmah, so you can get it. الحكمة ضالة المؤمن أينما وجدها أخذها وليدع رأيه لرأي معلمه فإن خطأ المعلم أنفع المتعلم. Anyways, you shouldn't be learning to argue. I'm listening to this scholar or teacher, whatever, so I can refute what they are saying. This shouldn't be the attitude or the approach. The approach is, like I said, you should be like you are listening to the tabib or your physician. وينبغي أن يحترز القائد في العلم في مبدأ الأمر من إصغاء الاختلاف. If you are starting to learn something, you will sometimes be faced with a lot of اختلاف. And one scholar said this, another scholar. So you don't want to listen to, you don't want to go there. This is something when you go to study, anybody is doing anything, medicine, anybody is studying medical school, anybody is doing accounting, anybody is doing anything here, going to any school, right? What school? What do you study? Cybersecurity. When they get to cybersecurity, do they give you like hacking and the most complicated part, or they start with what's cyber, what's security, how, right? You should start with little things before you grow up and you get to ikhtilaf and different opinions and things like that. Don't be confused by the long codes, you don't want to even worry about this now. You have to learn one ayah. This is your part. Take it. Do this ayah now. You're learning one hadith. Learn it right now. That's your part. Until you get to the level of ikhtilaf, you will know what these people are talking about. Yeah, I'll give the question at the end, inshallah. There's no question.
It's not a question.
Yeah, hold on, please. Let's finish and then we get to everybody, inshallah. That was the last one of adab al-muta'allim, the one who is receiving knowledge, the student. Now getting to adab al-mu'allim, or some of the etiquettes of the one teaching or the teacher. I will mention a couple of them quickly. قالوا ينبغي له الشفقة على المتعلمين وأن يجريهم مجرى بنيه. You should deal with them like his own children. A teacher who is just thinking he's arrogant and I'm here. No, you should deal with everybody like you're dealing with your children basically. قالوا ولا يرى لنفسه على المتعلمين من الفضل. He shouldn't think of himself as higher than everybody else. Actually, he should think of himself as lower, because the way he deals with the students or those who are listening is as if they are giving him the land to put the seeds in. So they give him themselves. You are giving me now your ears and your hearts, so I can tell you something from the Prophet ﷺ. So you're giving me the land so I can cultivate, so I can put something. You actually are doing me a favor right now. ولا يدخر من نصح المتعلم. You should keep advising them. This you should get better in this way. You should avoid that. And you shouldn't blame them in such a way, tawbih, rebuking them and stuff. But rather, like Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was doing, ما بال أقوام. Some people may do this and that. So على سبيل التعريض, not to directly criticize and so on. The next point for the teacher is you should act upon what they say. أتأمرون الناس بالبر وتنسون أنفسكم. And that's again, if you're teaching your child something, do it. Before you preach it, you need to do it yourself. Any teacher should not avoid, or should not لا يخالف ولا يكذب قوله أو فعله قوله. You shouldn't have that difference between what you say and what you do. And then he will talk quickly, because I want to conclude with this, otherwise I wouldn't go. He would talk about some of the scholars and what do they do with their knowledge. Some people seek the knowledge to argue with others. Some people seek the knowledge to be so people can come to them and ask them, and they feel seeking status of this dunya. Some people learn the knowledge so they would have a status with the sultan, with the leader, with the president. Some people seek the knowledge for different things, or use the knowledge for different things. All of these, we have a hadith from the Prophet ﷺ. One hadith, for example, من طلب العلم, whosoever seeks knowledge, ليجاري به العلماء, so he keeps pace with the scholars. أو ليماري به السفهاء, argue with those with less knowledge. أو يصرف به وجوه الناس إليه, or to get the attention of people towards him. أدخله الله النار. Allah will put him in the fire. This is not what you learn the Quran for. This is not what you learn the hadith. This is not what you seek the knowledge for. You seek the knowledge for akhirah, for Allah, and to gain the status with Allah in ad-dar al-akhirah. The focus shouldn't be on the information. The focus should be on the, what do I do with this ayah that I learned and listened to today? What did I do with this hadith? The true scholars, the true ulama, the true teachers will always focus in, am I doing right? What can be done better? How's my heart? What's causing these issues or wasawis or problems? They will always be worried about this. Not only worried about, I don't have that much information, I want to know more information, I want to be higher in grades. The focus of those who are seeking to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be their heart and how to make it closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we already mentioned the strategy they use with teaching, inshallah. Applying this, I would listen to my brother here, even though this is usually we don't take questions. But Kamal, go ahead and say your suggestion or question.
Actually, was the suggestion. I'm planning to become a cop. Any ideas on that?
I can talk to you one-on-one after the class. How about that? Good? Thank you. Barakallahu feekum wa jazakumullahu khair wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa alihi wa sahbihi.